Alright, what's up guys? Shawnthebro here, and today we're going to be doing the first programming stream. Since I don't normally stream off my PC, I stream on a console of some sort. It's very possible the audio is a little bit messed up, so let me do a quick test. I did turn it down. Okay, I muted my mic there so I could test it. It is still very loud. Okay, I will turn it down. Is it still very loud? We'll do a little bit. Yeah, it's negative 14 right now. I don't know how. It didn't seem too loud on my phone. If it's still too loud, I'll turn it down to like negative 20. Still a little loud. Okay. That's negative 20. Let me know what you think of that. Yeah, we usually stream on console. Like, I've been streaming on the Xbox Series X and PS4 and different things like that, so I'm not entirely... Hold up. Okay, I'm holding up. What am I holding up for? But anyway, the music has some dude talking really loud. I think you have another ad open in the background. I think you have something open on your computer in a different tab or something. But yeah, so I'm trying to get the audio right and trying to get the positioning right. I think the camera looks good. We did still chroma key it, but you can see that. Well, you can't see it because it's the green screen, but I'm saying you can see it's all black around me, but you can still see my chair. So I think everything looks good. Let me know if the audio is too loud for anyone. Another random Twitch stream. I forgot I opened the Twitch app. There you go. No, that's fine. I was just like, what? There's no way. All good. So we're just going to get started. We're just having fun today. This is the very first episode. And the intention is to either make a game from scratch on here and only work on it during the stream, or to work on one of the YouTube tutorials that I have and kind of show the process of me actually doing it. So I show the tutorials and I have them to where I already have finished the lesson and I just record the lesson and explain what to do. Sometimes it's easier to show people you doing it live and kind of show your thought process. So I've been thinking about doing this and making it to where everyone can see what's going on in my head, what things I end up deleting and changing out because I find a better way, why I do things a certain way, and that's kind of why I think the live stream is good here. So, when you swing the chair, you're moving the green screen. Window side, really? Oh, is it hitting against it because of the fan? Swing the chair. I see that. What is going on? Hey, David. Nice to see you, buddy. I know you're streaming, so I really appreciate you coming by. You didn't have to do that. Yeah, the fan is blowing it like nobody's business. I will try not to swing the chair too much. I'll just sit here. Your face looks a little squeezed. Is it squeezed? It may be a little bit squeezed. Maybe a little bit squeezed. I think it's pretty good. But, yeah, thank you. Ooh. What, me getting that close to the camera? Anyway, so, yeah, we're getting started. I see that it's doing that. So, here. Let me tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do a few things. First of all, you need to calm down. Okay, it's just a little bit of air. All right, green screen. Just a little bit of air. Don't get that close. Just a little bit of air, green screen. You don't need to be flying to the side every time the fan hits it. So I can go ahead and turn that fan down if required, but the other part is the chair. No, I think it was. All right, so we're going to get started. I don't entirely know what I'm going to work on. I'm probably going to make a new project for today, and then we'll determine if we want to work on something live that we already are familiar with or whatever, but I'm just going to have fun with it. And this is a just chatting because that's really what it is. I do want to make a game here, and I want people to see that, you know, people who are interested. But honestly, it's kind of just a fun thing for everybody. We can just talk, figure things out. We can talk about coding and certain decisions we want to make, but I'm kind of just going to work. And if no one's chatting, then that's perfectly fine. I'll still be working. It's still beneficial to me, still fun to me. And if it's not working, or excuse me, if no one's chatting, then, you know, like I said, it's still good for me. So, all right. You can see everything. I'm gonna give you the... I'm actually going to put myself as do not disturb. I don't know if you need to when streaming. I've definitely had screen shares on, and you can see my notifications from Discord come up even if I'm streaming through Discord, which is annoying. So I turned them off, and you can just see like all my Streamlabs stuff. So I'm going to switch to Unreal now. I'm going to open it up, and this is technically my older version of Unreal. So let's see. Oh, it's going to make me do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to launch through here. That way I don't show any of my sign-in information. That would probably be good. I got 4.23. I'll upgrade. So the source you have on right now will show... Yeah, I know. That's why I'm being careful. I knew that it would show that, and that's why I did not want to open up Epic Games. It's okay. I intended to show all screens for this time because I didn't know exactly how we'd be starting. Like right now I'm just sitting on Streamlabs. And nothing here is like anything I can't show. So I'm just going to actually make a new project here, and then I'll just stick to Unreal. Yeah, either way, you can choose the window that you force. Just for now, I'll be careful. I had it in mind. We're going to make a C++ project. I don't entirely know what type of game we're going to make. I have tutorials for a fighting game, Super Smash Brothers game, so a platform fighter. I have first-person shooter and third-person game. So we may make a side-scroller game of some type, you know, and just kind of play around with that and see what we can accomplish. And then if we decide to work on any of the other projects, of course, then we'll be working on that. But I think minimize Streamlabs looks a tad messy in the background. Okay, well, I'm not going to do that because Unreal is going to be open full in a second. And if I do that, it will show some stuff that I probably don't want to show. So, okay. Let's just call this Twitch game. Yeah, Unreal will be open in a second. This will all go away. I just had to figure some stuff out, and I just kind of wanted to talk about myself, as bad as that sounds, for a bit before we get into this, so. All right. This is fun. This is exciting. So for those that don't know me, I'm a software engineer. That's what I do for my career, and that's what I went to college for. So for me, this is a lot of fun. I do more specific stuff that I can't really talk about, but I do more advanced stuff at work, and I don't get to work on games, although I don't really like working on games in a studio sense because they usually add a lot of crunch, even more than different things like government work and stuff, which you would think that would be like, oh, you work all the time. But in my experience, that is not. There's less crunch in those situations than there are in something like a game studio. So working on games outside of that is a lot of fun. So can everyone see that okay? It looks like you can see the code. Yeah, it looks good to me from what I can see. This Discord is gonna kill me because it's got that little red dot. I want to keep opening it, and I mean, I have nothing in the Discord that you guys can't see because it's just on the community, so it's not really a big deal, but still. So very first thing, because no one likes using the in-screen viewport. That's disgusting. So for those that don't know, the Unreal project, it has templates that you can choose from. I'm choosing side scroller for this one just because it's a game we haven't done before. We've done the fighting game, which uses the side scroller template, but it's so far past that, past the mechanics in that. We've even rewritten a lot of the mechanics that the side scroller template uses. So this is basically what you start out with. And we're gonna just go with it. I don't exactly know. If you have any preferences, any ideas for what we want to do, let me know, please. And we can get started. We can try and do some fun stuff. But otherwise, I'll just take it in a direction, and that'll be perfectly fine. I think what I'm gonna do is basically play around with this guy, and I think if we don't have a direction to go in, what I was kind of thinking of for the start of for this episode, before we get some, what is your experience? That's a good question with coding. I'm gonna say, kind of know what I'm doing. I may have formal education, but you know that does not necessarily mean that I know what I'm doing. Let's be honest here. We are going to. Let's see. I'm trying to think. So I think I was thinking about a few different things for what I'm gonna work on if no one has any preferences, and that's perfectly fine. again, no stress, no like, oh no, nobody's chatting. Like, there's plenty of stuff I can work on. For this episode, again, I'm gonna work on something completely fresh, just to kind of see where we can take it in one episode, and then after that we'll figure out what the plan is. But for now, what we're gonna do is, I think we're gonna try and get an enemy in here that kind of just walks back and forth, and then probably if he hits you, you take damage. Maybe we'll have an animation in here for a punch or something. If I do an animation with the mannequin, I kind of need to do a bunch of garbage. So I may not have an attack. We may jump on him kind of Mario style, is my thought. So let's just go ahead and do that. First things first, I don't have another model, so it might be just a different color mannequin as the enemy, but that's fine. Yeah, okay. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to use my normal workflow that I use. I usually make a blueprints folder since I do code and blueprints. And we'll jump literally right into it. So we'll grab, let's see what we want to add to our character here. I don't like the way Unreal does its things, but it's fun. So first things first, there's a few ways you can tell if a character is jumping on another character. There's some more formal ways, some better ways, but for our needs, all we really need to do is attach a hitbox of some sort of collider to the bottom of our character, and then if our height is above them, if the collider is above them prior to impact, then you know that you are jumping on them. You could also just attach it to like a socket on their foot, and only if the socket hits some sort of collider on their head do you crush them. There's a few different ways you can do it, but that's pretty much the standard, the easiest way. It's pretty cost efficient, and we'll pretty much just do that. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's add a box collision, excuse me. Box foot collider, I guess we'll call it that. We're not being super formal in this episode, so let's just call it a foot collider. Z about. Now we can do a few things again. We can just attach it here, and that's perfectly fine. The only issue with that is if I make this, I don't know if I can make it visible to where we'll see it. Like, it's visible, but since there's no actual mesh on it, I don't think you'll be able to see it. However, here's what when I jump, it should work pretty well when you end up colliding it. Right now it's kind of just sitting right there, or attaching it, excuse me. It's kind of just sitting there, and you can't see it, but my only concern is with the animations that we have. Since I'm not using Mixmo animations at the moment, or some sort of other animations, it's just going to kind of have to be attached. So I might want to you can change the line thickness. I never actually realized that you could do that without having a mesh of some sort on there. But yeah, so usually what we would do is something like this. Again, I don't know what I'm going to have access to. This is something I should have thought about a little bit more. I can have a cube, though, to visualize it, so actually this will work just fine. And for materials, we don't have a lot. We have cube material, man body, and man chest logo, so we're doing pretty well. But let me show you what I was referring to now. So see, it follows. You can see at some points, because we're not attaching it to a socket as of now, then the animation, while we are lifting the character off the ground, the way his feet go at certain points, the collider doesn't exactly come with it. So that can be a little bit strange depending on what we want, how precise we need it to be. Again, we can always attach it to a bone later, but you can see how easy it is to attach this collider. And what we want to do is essentially have collision on it. It doesn't need to be block all dynamic because our character will block all, so we can actually have it as an overlap all, or overlap specifically with a pawn. What's happening? What's up, Shing Chang? Nice to see you. We're doing a PC stream today, which is crazy. We're making a game on stream. So this is the first stream, a lot different than what I normally do, as you can tell on Twitch. Usually this is what I do on YouTube. So each week we're going to alternate. We're going to do one stream on Twitch, one stream on YouTube, just to kind of, you know, do it everywhere, I guess. I mean, I would like to be able to integrate them both in a more formal way, but gaming and making games don't usually go together all that well. But I wanted to try it out. It's a lot of fun making games. Hey, Snatch, nice to see you. I know nothing. Hello there. Well, you know what? You're gonna learn a lot today, my friend. No, we're hanging out. We're having a fun time. My goal for today, and if anyone wants to take in a given direction, you see me looking down here. That's because I can see my chat down here. So. If anyone wants to take it in a given direction, feel free to let me know. If you want me to make something specific, then I'll be happy to do that. But for now, I'm just having fun with it. I love coding and I love working on stuff. So I figured one game that I do the YouTube tutorials and I do a lot of different series with that. So I figured, why don't we do something new? And I'm doing a side scroller, kind of like Mario style, where you jump on the opponent or the enemy and they end up dying. Something like that for now. That's what we're starting for episode 1. That's what I want to accomplish. So yeah, we're just having fun with it. So it's cool. I love having you guys here. I really love having you here. I know it might not be your thing though, and that's perfectly okay. As I said, we're still doing the Dark Souls streams every Wednesday and all, but I wanted to try this out for a bit. Well, thanks for coming by. Love seeing you, Snatching. So, okay. Forget exactly where I was, but oh yeah, so I was saying overlap all is probably good enough for now, because we'll do the logic to determine if we're jumping and landing on them. Looks pretty good size-wise. Maybe I will learn something, but I would sadly start at 0. Well, it's okay if you start at 0, as long as you end at greater than 0. 1 or anything else. And it's, learning coding it can be exhausting, legitimately. So it's cool if you're like, nah, I'm not interested. I won't be offended, honestly. This is usually what I do on YouTube, but I figured why not do it on Twitch, because it's something I like doing. Yeah, 0.01, that works. That totally works. As long as it's greater than where you started. If you're less than where you started, that's a problem. Then we're like, okay, I did something wrong. If I was trying to teach you and you're more confused now, then that's my fault. I screwed something up. Okay. So we got our collider. This is essentially our collider. It's not going to be visible the whole time, but just so we can see kind of what's going on. What we need is an enemy. We don't have to give him any sort of intelligence at the moment, but we do need to make another character. That way we can do it. As of now, I have this set up as a code and blueprint project because that's what I always work in. However, I will probably go ahead and just do a lot of the stuff in Blueprint to save time. For example, I'll probably just make this enemy a Blueprint enemy. I will make a default enemy class, but then I'll probably do the majority of stuff in Blueprint. So first of all, let's add a new C++ class. We can make it a character, and we're going to call this base enemy, and we're going to create it. Then once this is done, I will pretty much do nothing with it, actually. I'll just have it there so that we can add stuff to in the future. I have to be honest, I cannot stand this. If anyone from Epic Games ever watches this, please fix this. There's no way you look at this and say this is good. I know coders have their differences, okay? And the space after the comment isn't bad. I don't personally like it. And since I don't code like that, I don't comment like that, I like to take out the ones at the start. That way I don't, it's not, uneven, not, what's the word I'm looking for? Not the same throughout, whatever. So I take them out, that's okay. But the spaces, you have 6 lines where there's nothing going on. Come on. Thank you, David. Thank you very much for supporting me and saying that. I appreciate that. I'm not trying to take away from your stream. I actually do have you open in a tab. Unfortunately, I can't let it play with audio on or anything like that, obviously, because of what I'm doing, so. But I appreciate you doing that. Thank you. This is more of an informal stream since it's just chatting stream. Really, it is. I'm going to be working on this. If people want to jump in, great. If you don't, great. All good. I always take out this too. I don't know. They put 3 spaces between that. Very particular things, but I just don't like it. There's no reason for spaces. Come on, clean that up. Nope, that's not what I said. It is what I said, isn't it? That's what I'll say when I do something that's clearly my fault, but I didn't mean to do it. Okay, so anyway, I've made this class. Let's build it with the changes. We didn't make any important changes, but Visual Studio doesn't know that. And now that we have it, it hot reloaded, which means Unreal has gotten the changes. So now we have our C++ class. We're going to go into our blueprints, and we're going to add a new blueprint class. We're going to show all of our classes, and we're going to choose the class that we just created, which was base enemy. Whoops, if I could spell it correctly. Base enemy. And we select that. Now base enemy, we're going to call him base enemy BP for base enemy blueprint. Blueprint counterpart. And now we've got all this stuff inherited by default because it's a character, but it doesn't actually do anything. He is also going to be a mannequin, and we're going to use his animation blueprints to, I think it's the third person anim BP, I believe is the default. Yep. So we're setting them up exactly the same simply because I don't have other assets at the moment. Is he really rotated by default? I never knew that. -90 by default. Weird. Why would you not put the default at 0? I guess I do that all the time, but I'm just like, what? There we go. So this is what he looks like. And what we can do, right off the bat, before we even get into any logic about enemies or health, or if we want to set him up to be a character that is stomped on or stepped on through jumping, then what we want to do is have the area at which he is going to be able to be collided with to the point where he can die from the jump. Isn't there a category for programming? I didn't see one. I looked in programming. I looked in, I looked in game dev, coding. I couldn't find one. If you can find, there is a science and technology, which I guess that does technically work. If you think it would be better there, like I honestly, I appreciate your input. So let me know. The thing is, I'm kind of just having fun working on this, so if we don't, I don't know what the best thing to do is. I've never actually watched a coding stream. Isn't that funny? So I'm not entirely sure. If you think it would be better in there, then I'll do that for next time for sure. Let me know what you think. I appreciate you asking that and trying to help me. So we've got our enemy here, and I'm going to add a collider on him as well. And we're gonna call this just chatting is just fun, I guess. You are chat. I am chatting after all. No, I appreciate that though. It's a good thing. I wasn't too sure. So again, I'll be doing 1 week on Twitch, 1 week on YouTube, and then alternating. So the reason I'm doing that is mainly because I do want to be able to bring the two audiences together, like legitimately bring them together, not just, oh, we have numbers over here, numbers over here. Bring them together, like actually make it one flowing community. That's why I try and interlock everything. It's hard with two different things. Like you think, oh, game development and gaming, totally similar, but obviously they aren't. So, you know, I'm trying to kind of make that a genuine connection between them. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I think this is a good starting point to test it out. I'm going to make this his head collider. And what we're going to do is just simply move this up. I'll make it probably it doesn't really need to be all that big. Like, we could really make it pretty darn small. Something like that. And then for my character, I know my feet are pretty big. Let's not make it all that big though. Go right at the base of his feet. Since we're side scroller, it doesn't really matter, but just because I kind of want it to look nice, something like that. So that's my guy's foot collider. Then this dude has a head collider, just like that. Did I? Weird how that one looks so much thinner. Why does that look so much thinner? Did I already decrease this? Oh, I decreased the mesh on top of this, which was already 0.2. Got you. That's what happened. 0.2. And this is 0.1. Oh, I don't want to change the mesh and make it different from the collider, though. My whole intention was to make this the same. So, allow me to fix this real quick. I'll reset all these to default. Let me fix this. 1 second. I think I want to make it even smaller than if we're doing that. So let's do 0.5. The Y really doesn't matter, but again, I'll shrink it down, I guess. Well, not that much. 0.5 as well. That's fine. And then for this, we'll make it 0.5. Hello there. Hey, what's up, David? Nice to see you. Thanks for coming by. We're just hanging out, having fun right now. So I haven't decided on anything specific. I might work on something specific to one of the tutorials I'm doing on YouTube, but for this one, I'm kind of just testing things out and playing around with it and see if we can get anything that we like. Okay, so the static mesh is just genuinely bigger at this point, which we don't want that. Let's also bring this down. 7. Sorry, I'm trying to get everything right because I don't really care if we make this look all that formal, but I do want it to look good. And the collision is one thing you'll notice that if it doesn't look good, it doesn't look good. You'll notice quickly. Something like that is good enough though, since that is just our visualizer. We don't need the static mesh to actually be there. We just want to use it to visualize what is going on. So this, why are you so big? Same with you, calm down. There we go. So again, we should really be attaching this to like a socket. That would be the best way to keep this accurate if we have to step on like his head. But I'll just put it at the center there, and I'm gonna shrink this a little bit more. Actually, I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna shrink this a little bit. Okay, there we go. So something like that is good for our colliders. And this is a pretty simple way. It's not necessarily the best way to determine collision between specific points, but it works. And it's quick, and it is cost efficient. We're actually just going to bring them into the scene. I do have to make sure they are on the same, what is that, the X value, which is, wow, you picked a weird value. Instead of just being at 0, huh? Oh, because I accidentally was clicking on the floor. That would make more sense. Okay, so let's put these guys at both at 1200. That's an easy one. Okay. So now, you can see he's got a little collider on his head. I've got a little collider on my foot, and we bounced off of each other. So first of all, let's fix that bounce, because that bounce is going to be very annoying if our whole thing is to jump off each other. So the way this works is, I have to find out exactly where it's at. Give me 1 second. In the character movement component, there we go. You can constrain it to a plane, and you want to constrain it to the plane that you want them to not be able to move on. For example, I don't want them to be able to move on the X plane, because the X plane is the one that's like your depth. It's closer to the camera and farther away from the camera. So now when I jump on him, I stay on that plane. So you can see I can jump on him. I still bounce. We'll want to get rid of the bounce probably, although if he's getting defeated after this, the bounce actually is kind of a good thing. I just thought about it. Usually you can jump, but I had to be able to jump off of him. Anyway, that's stuff for later. But for now, you can see he's got a collider here, and I've got a collider, and we can do that. Now, I'm not really bouncing off the collider, though. In fact, my character, it's just bouncing off of his head. It's not the colliders are colliding with each other and bouncing off of them. So not to get that confused. Alright, so, but anyway, that's good enough for now. Now we have colliders in place and we know kind of what we're looking for. There's a few things we can do. First of all, if we want to get right into it and skip everything and just say, do our collision events work in a way where we can destroy our actor without adding any extra logic, we can do that right off the bat. All we have to do is perform logic when this overlaps or collides with something. We can do it on hit. And then we'll get into the logic, like, were you even jumping? Were you in your falling state? You know, was this result a collision of not going higher than them? That way you know that you were falling on them to hit them. You can even check velocity and stuff. I think I'm going to use overlap for this because the mesh should have collision, or the capsule component should have a collision with the other character, with the enemy. Because, of course, if we're not jumping on them and he runs into me, I should take damage. So we do want them to have their regular collision, but I believe I'm going to leave the collider at overlap. If that becomes an issue, obviously we will change it. So I have it as, I have the collider. Oh, I put the mesh on overlap. I'm going to have no collision on the mesh. I'm going to have the collider as overlap all. I'm going to keep it at overlap all, not overlap all dynamic, because I don't really need it to block anything in particular. The character will handle that. And for this, it doesn't really matter as long as it can pick up the collision, but I am going to disable the static mesh collision, and I'll probably set this to overlap all as well, just so we're not doing extra checks that we don't need to be doing. Then, lastly, we need to get our overlap events and add them for the collision of the collider. So we can do it on either. If we want one to pick up over the other, it would probably be better just to do one over the other, which I think would be on the foot. So let's go ahead and we'll do begin overlap. There will be some things that may need to be smoothed out if we do that, but it'll work. Basically, we can get our overlap component or the actor and then get the component. There are times when one works better over another, even when both of them are possible to get them, like in this case. So I actually don't entirely know what's the best way to do it, but that's what the stream's kind of for. We're just going to play around with it and have fun. So I'm going to drag off the actor. Excuse me, I'm going to drag off the component. Right, okay, so actually I do know this though. This is a primitive component. So I could cast it to a box component, kind of like what we have here, but it won't. We'll see. I may need to like tag it. It's kind of hard. So I think the best way, I think the neatest way to do this is to cast against the component, because we only care if the foot collision is colliding with the head collision. And then we get the owner of that component, which will be the base enemy. We cast it to base enemy. I'll cast it to the base enemy VP, just so that we have everything that he has in case we need it. Okay, that's fine. And what we can do is literally destroy actor. And that should flat out eliminate our enemy. There we go. So I'm assuming what happened is this overlap did not work, but look, let's do on-the-job debugging, print a string. Well, obviously we don't print it here, excuse me. Let's print it at the start here and see if we're getting any sort of overlap on this jump. And see, we've overlapped 3 times. However, it did not, either that cast failed, which I'm assuming is actually what happened, or for whatever reason we could not destroy the enemy. So let's go ahead and check that. Pretty simple. We can drag off and see if our cast is failing, because again, I don't entirely know. The component doesn't always work. This is what I was talking about. So sometimes you have to use the actor. It's not failing. Hello there. Hey, what's up, Rule? Nice to see you. How's it going? We're doing a programming stream tonight, as you can tell, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? So I'm assuming this cast is failing. We're just doing some live programming, not a specific project. This is the first one, so I kind of just wanted to play around with it, have a good time. And I do programming tutorials on YouTube, so, you know, every other week we'll probably do Twitch, and then YouTube, Twitch, and then YouTube. Obviously, the rest of the streams are going to be on gaming. Finally got to see you. Here I am. Here I am. I'm glad you came by. Thank you. Right now, we're kind of just playing around with it. I'm trying to make something new that I've never made before. See, the cast is failing. So the owner of the box component is going to be the capsule collider, and that was my mistake. Did you see that? So if we do it from the component, then that's not going to work. So I almost wonder if it is more efficient to... I guess I'm thinking too far into it. Right now we're just kind of playing around, having a good time. I go over this. This is part of my job at work, to like analyze what would be more efficient. What's the better way to do it? And so I'm kind of getting caught in that a little bit more than I need to be. We're just trying to make it so if you jump on the enemy's head, he gets destroyed. We're actually almost there. But I'm trying not to get caught up in all the specifics. We're just gonna do it. So I can cast it to a capsule collider. I forget exactly how. There is a way you can do it. But I think what would actually be better is if we did get the actor and then search for the component. I'm trying to think. Without looking at I like the programming theme. I am myself a programmer getting into Unity recently. Unity is good. I started off in Unity, and I really liked it. And then my final project was in Unreal, and I actually got a job working in Unreal for the last few years now. So that's why I mainly use Unreal now. But Unity is good. I like it a lot. My very first game that I ever published was in Unity. So that's cool. I'm glad you like the programming theme. I thought this was cool. I thought the whole idea of it was cool. It was actually Morgan's idea, which is my fiance. She put everything together. She's really good at that stuff for the Streamlabs and all. So, okay, I guess the best way to do it... I'm trying to think, sorry. I know, I gotta release this, because in my tutorials, I have everything done, and I've already done this 1,000 times, so you don't normally get to see this. But I need to not worry so much about the specifics. It's kind of just for fun. So, let's go ahead and try using the other actor, because I think it would be better. We don't have to do 2 casts, and it should be nice and easy. So we're just going to see if it's the base enemy BP. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I realized what we could do. We could do the component. I'll still have to cast this to box component, because we need to get that. But we need to get owner, like we were doing. And instead this time, I need to get name. And if this is the capsule collider, then I know what we can do. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. Or it has no owner. It should have an owner, because it should be assigned to that, but I just want to see. It's possible. So it's saying the owner is the side-scroller character, which is weird to me, because I'm pretty sure I brought the base enemy VP on. And I did, obviously, because he's here. So it's weird to me that that cast would fail. I have to be honest, that's a little bit strange to me. Cast to base enemy BP. Are you saying you're not castable from a side-scroller character? Because that would be weird to me. I gotta try this again. Cast fail. That is certainly weird. Oh, unless it's colliding with myself during the jump, which is possible. Class 2. Weird. Okay, we're just gonna do it the other way. We're gonna go off the actor. See if we can cast it to this right away. If we can't, then I need to set the settings to overlap and block all. I did not add anything. That would be helpful. Thank you for that, David. Appreciate that. Okay, so... Okay, so the cast succeeds off base enemy. So I don't know why getting the owner of the collider, which was a side-scroller character, wasn't casting the base enemy BP. I honestly don't know why that was going on. Sometimes that happens, so... Instead of trying to figure it out for the next however long we stream, I figured let's just do it this way instead. Okay, and what you can do, this isn't exactly the best way to do it. You could drag off of the enemy BP, grab the component, or check if it has the tag and then destroy it. What I'm actually going to try to do, and it's going to be a little iffy because of the way that that cast wouldn't work, I'm going to see if the other component, which should be, you know, the box component. Trying to see. So The other component. I guess the smartest way to do it, that it works under all circumstances where we're the one jumping on them or the one overlapping, is to try and get the... See, because I don't want to just do it off the enemy, or I really don't want to just do it off the component either, because it's going to make our life a little bit harder down the line if we just do it off the component. Because, you know, you want to use the components universally. You want to be able to use them in more than one thing. So I think maybe the best way to do it would be to determine if... This is bothering me why that wasn't working. I almost wonder if I don't check the overlap component and I check the other component. Because this isn't sitting right with me. I get on like little tangents like this, but this isn't sitting right with me. That cast wasn't working. So I think what I should do is check the other component and check the box component. Let's see if this cast can work. Because I wonder if it's overlapping with the wrong thing. I set the static mesh to have no... What am I doing? Sorry. I set the static mesh to have no collision, but I almost wonder if it's colliding with something else. Just hello there. So this might work. The question is, does it print if we cast fail? No, it doesn't. So that is weird. The overlap component isn't the same as the other component. Yeah? Okay, whatever. I think this will work just like this then. We can get rid of this now, and let's try destroying the actor. It will try to destroy it multiple times, most likely because of the way it does the collision check, and I'll show you that if it does. There we go. So I don't know why the overlap component won't work, or did not work on the cast. I honestly am not too sure. What I'm assuming is the capsule collider on this was actually taking the hit before the box collider, or something along those lines, and it was a block all, not overlap, so it was not going to the parent we thought. But other than that, I'm not too sure, but at least the other component section works. I mean, whatever. So there we go. Now we can jump on our enemy and kill him. Now, remember, we have no logic in place to determine, like, if we're jumping on him. Actually, it just so happens to work that you can't really hit him any other way unless you're jumping on him, just where we placed it, which is nice. So we don't have to do anything to fix that. At least, not right now. There might be some scenarios down the line. But there we go. So now we destroy him. Simple enough. Obviously, we want to make this a lot more advanced, and we don't want to just destroy him. But it's a good start. Another thing we can do, right off the bat, is have the enemy have a base damage or something like that. If they run into you, they do. However, if we're going to continue this like side-scroller type of game, then we'll want multiple enemies, and we won't want to just have, oh, everyone just runs into you. There's going to have to be projectiles and things like that. I mean, if you're thinking about Mario, you have to think about all the things that go into it. You have to think about, you hit the Koopa, it goes into his shell. You have fireballs, you have bombs, you have different things that can happen to cause different things. So in my base enemy, I don't want to add too much that we're not going to use everywhere. Which means, since this is my base enemy BP, I should be able to just do logic in here for a collision check. And I think that'll be perfectly valid. I don't think that's a cheap way of doing it. Anything like that. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to grab our, not our head collider. We're going to grab, we can grab the mesh or the collider, either way. I'm going to grab the mesh because in my opinion it looks a little bit better. And we're going to check for on hit, on component hit. And we're going to check if the other actor is our actor, which I just realized I should actually be using this guy. It's not a huge deal, but I should be using this guy. So there we go. Let's do that instead. Cast to... what the heck is this thing called? Twitch game character. Yes. Twitch game character. And then if this succeeds, we can actually just... I mean, we can destroy him. Obviously, this isn't the case all the time because we want to make sure that we're not stepping on him to defeat him as to not take damage. But if you see the way it works... Actually, he would have to run into us on this method. But I can show you that we can do it from the other way to kind of just prove it. I'll leave this here since this is the method we'll be using. But I will put it in the other one too. That way we know. Let me just make sure that he collides with. Oh no, he'll ignore another pawn. So I shouldn't do it off the mesh. Yeah. Okay. We'll do it off the capsule command. This is technically the way they tell you to do it. I prefer doing it off the mesh, but usually I make a custom mesh, as you guys have seen in the series. So, you know, if you watch the series, not like everyone's seen that. But my point is, I'm not too used to that, but we should be able to do it off the capsule collider. I still don't think this will work until he's running into us. There we go. It does because it's the collider and we're moving. Obviously, we don't want to destroy ourselves. So what I'm going to do is give us a little health system. And then we can also put in some knockback. Let's go ahead and add health to our class. Sorry, I like cleaning these up. I usually put everything in public until later. A lot of programmers do not like that. That's usually how I work on custom projects. Obviously, I can't do that. Things like work, they don't like that. For personal projects, I do it, and you know, it works fine. Just gotta be honest, it works fine as long as you're careful about it and you switch it up later for what you need. But I like having all the ability to do whatever when I get started, and then I can always make it better later. Let's go ahead and add a health. I'll make it an integer because I'm just going to do like different hearts or something. And then in the constructor, get rid of this garbage. We'll do the 3-hit system. Then, okay. So now we need a function called take damage or something along those lines. I guess we'll include a health amount. Damage amount, excuse me. And we can really get rid of this touch stuff. Actually, I'll just leave everything as is to avoid confusion down the line. But, okay. Let's do at the bottom. We'll add all our functions at the bottom. Amount, and what we do is health minus equals damage. And what we can do to make this a little bit neater, you don't really need to. Just if it's less than 0, you'll know that if it's less than or equal to 0, you know that the character is dead, plain and simple. But what we can do, just to make it a little bit neater, is if health is less than 0, you can set it back equal to 0. This will help for if you're displaying the health in text anywhere, it'll actually go down to like -1 or negative value, and that can look bad. I like to cap it at 0. A better way to do it than this, because it'll still technically flicker for a second, is to actually do a check to see if it would be less than 0, and then just set it to 0. And actually, I can demonstrate that. Let's do it the right way. So it will be like this, but it'll actually be if health minus, minus your damage amount is less than 0, then set equal to 0. And then we'll do else, and then just do this. Health minus equals damage amount. Pretty simple. Just basically says subtract the damage amount coming in from our health, and if it's going to be less than 0, cap it at 0. It's essentially the same as doing a clamp, but you're doing it kind of a little bit more manually. You could do a clamp here and just clamp it, make sure the minimum value is 0, whatever you like. I like this method. I'm just simple like that, I guess. But there we go. So now we have a take damage function. If we're going to be calling it on that collision instead of destroying our actor, we do need a way to be able to access it in blueprints. So usually the easiest way is just to make it a U function and make it blueprint callable. And then when we build this, assuming we have no errors, which I don't think we screwed anything up, then we will be able to, there we go. You heard the hot reload sound. It's that little like clicking sound. Then what we can do is go into where we were checking the collision. here, and we can call take damage on our character for the function that we just wrote. And I'll just make it a damage amount of 1. And what we should do is basically check if we're dead or not. Sorry. Check if we're dead or not, and then if we're dead or not, we may want to, you know, kill the character or something. So in here, I would call, like, die. And I will have an event to update the HUD once we get a HUD. We still have over an hour, so should have plenty of time to do all this. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's make another U function. This one really doesn't have to be a U function for what we're going to use it for here, but I like to make pretty much everything a U function, again, to start off, and then we can always adjust it later. So void die. Not going to take in any parameters as of now. And I also, well, we'll get to the HUD in a second. So his health is 0, and then we call die. Then we got to write our die function. Die. And what we can do is destroy actor. I think it's the same thing in code. It's been a while since I've destroyed the actor in code. So that might not be the, it's not. Is it destroy? Destroy, I think. Yeah, destroy this actor. So I think this will work. I mean, again, we don't want to just destroy the actor. That's why I usually don't do it in code, because not often for the character do you just want to destroy them. Usually you play like some sort of death animation and then clean them up after a specified period of time. Take damage, damage amount. Health minus damage amount is less than 0. Equals 0. Okay. Die. And then destroy. So it's destroy, not... Should modify level, net force. False, false. See, I don't normally use the destroy like this, so it's like... Because I don't think the logic is bad. Let's just do this. That way we can trigger this. Let me do... What's a good way to show that the character has died? I mean, we should just destroy them. I guess what I can do is... Really? I'm trying to think. Is it not just destroy? Again, I genuinely don't do this in code. Because when I use destroy, I'm using it on a component, usually. I'm not really familiar with. What? So it just worked that time? Okay. I'm not crazy. You guys saw that, right? You saw it not work the first time? I don't think I'm crazy. I might be crazy. If anybody can verify whether I am or am not, then I'd appreciate it. You know, it's up to you. You don't have to. You're not going to be held accountable. Wow, I literally don't know what was going wrong that first time. Okay, so anyway, I guess maybe it didn't compile fully. I was... Okay. Regardless. So now you can see we died. Now the issue is we hit, like if I print this out, you'll see we hit like 4 times. Well, we just hit once. We don't want to do that. So what we need to do is actually add some sort of... First of all, we should knock them back so they're not instantly colliding. But we should also... add some sort of invincibility time where we can't take damage. So first of all, what I'm gonna do is if it's not a death blow, I'll do the knockback in here. For again, we can always update this later and make it better, but for now, all we need to do is launch our character. And pretty sure the Y is the value we want to do it on in this case. -200. And these are extra parameters for overrides, which we don't need. Did I do that correctly? I think I did. I think this is what you want, right? I think I did it correctly. I'm pretty sure Visual Studio is just complaining. It likes to do that. Now notice that I'm hard coding -200, so we'll only ever go a specific direction. Fortunately, it happens too fast, so we'll need to make some invincibility before we can see the knockback. Also, negative 200 is actually the wrong way, so it sends me flying into him. It might work if I hit him from this direction. It did. Negative 200 is not nearly enough, but you can see it sends me back. So if I increase this amount, not reload complete, which is what you say. That doesn't look any different. Let's give him a little bit of height. Okay. So, we'll need to launch him a little bit better than that. But you can basically see what's going on, what we're getting at there. What we need to do first, so that we can see this properly, is just give him some sort of invincibility. The best way to do that is... There's a few ways you can do it. I think the best way to do it is literally just give him a timer. And as long as he's... If the collision occurs within that timer, and the timer is not finished yet, then he doesn't take damage. There are some other ways you can do it. You can actually set a state, put him in a state, set the timer. Once the timer comes out, he comes out of that state, and then obviously can't take damage while he's in that state. The good thing about that is if you have an invincibility pickup, for example, all that pickup has to do is put him in the state of invincible. So I think that's the route we're going to go. I may need to look up how to make a enum, because I screwed up pretty much every single time. We're gonna go steal it from another project real quick, because that is something I've never gotten quite good at. I never remember the exact way they set it up. So we're just gonna copy this guy. Wow, that was more taxing than I expected on the computer. There we go. Obviously, we don't need all these states, but for now, we can just have two, even. We can have default and, let's say, invincible. Default. Invincible. And we can call it state. I'll probably just keep it as character state, actually. And now we can make a variable of this character state. State. In the constructor, we want to make sure this is a default value. State equals e character state. Whoops. Default. Now, if we take damage but we're not dead, we should actually handle the launch a little bit later, but I'll keep it for now. What we need to do is set our state equal to e character state. Oh, it's farther down than I thought. Okay. Invincible. And we're going to need to start a timer here. And then, yeah, I guess when the timer's done, we'll set it back to default. Which actually, I'm going to steal some more code. I should have closed it. This should be the only other thing I have to steal, but the timer, the setup for the timer is not the most convenient, I will say. So let me show you what it is. I'll explain it once we get it, but the computer does not like me needing to use two Visual Studios, I guess. Where is the F timer handle? F timer handle. Okay, here's the timer handle. And grab that. Stun timer. And here's this line. This is really what I'm concerned about. Not concerned about, but this is more along the lines of what I needed. I'm here but tired. You're good, Trevor. You were streaming for a long time, buddy. I was working and I was like, man, he's still going? No, you were good. Hey man, take it easy. We're just having fun. It's just a relaxing stream. No worries. Enjoy some dinner. Let's go ahead and add, first of all, our F-timer handle. So the F-timer handle, again, is essentially just, it keeps track of what your timer is doing. So we'll call this the invincibility timer. And we need to make functions for what we do when the timer starts and what it does when, or what it's supposed to do when it ends. Well, we don't really need to do one for each of them. You could just call the function and set the timer, but I'm probably gonna have one to start and end because I think that's a little bit cleaner. I am probably not gonna make these ones U functions because I almost never use timers in Blueprint. Actually, that's one of the only things that I almost never use. They're good, they work in Blueprint, but I just don't normally use them all that much. At least not the ones from. Hey, thank you, Blackbird. Thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. Great to see you here. Thanks for coming by. So we're gonna make a, I don't know, I guess begin invincibility timer. Yep, still working. Are you still working on that bug? I'm so sorry about that bug. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but I promise we will get it solved. We always get all the bugs solved, but it's not always the easiest process, I will say. I'm gonna make begin and end invincibility timer because, quite frankly, I think that's just again, I think it's a little bit cleaner than just setting the timer here. In fact, I'm actually gonna take out the launch character because we want to see the invincibility working before we do anything with knockback. Hey, what's up, Legendary Boss Man? Working on animations is kicking my butt. Ooh, animations. Animations are tough, my friend. I have never gotten good at them. I have done a few by hand, but they're not good, and I'm not good at them. So I don't blame you. Not by hand like my actual hand, but I think you understand what I mean by that. Okay, so we are setting our character state to invincible, but really what we should be doing is actually getting our timer started. Oh, I copied. Dang it, guys! You should have told me. You should have reminded me. It's not your fault. It's my fault. I can never remember the parameters or even the function name. It's get world, get timer manager, set timer. That's what it is. There we go. I am very bad at that one. That one I have to look up every single time. So here we go. It's fine. I know what it is now. But really, it didn't copy it. Get world. Get timer manager. Set timer. Okay. Great. Now it's not going to give me IntelliSense. It's not going to work because I don't know why I tried to build that. I did not fill out any of the parameters. Okay, I won't close it this time. I apologize. I'm keeping the fighting game open. I learned my lesson. You all can shun me now. It was my fault, and I deserve whatever you guys say. But other than that, let's just grab this. Let's literally I just want to copy it. It's just faster. And now my computer is like, okay, you've opened this way too many times. Watch this, guys. Control C. Okay. Look, I'm keeping it open. Paste. There we go. There we go. So what we need to put in as our handle, which I've called it invincibility timer, and we need to then call the correct function, which is a Twitch game character, and we're calling end invincibility timer. And now we also have to give it an amount of time. We can force it to an amount of time, or we can use it as a variable. Of course, the variable is the better option, so we'll go ahead and do that. We need float invincibility time. And we'll have to give that a default value. We can pass it in as well if we don't want to, but let's give it a default value. Let's have a default invincibility time if the character, you know, whatever state or enemy doesn't override it. So let's do invincibility time equals, it shouldn't be too long, but 1 second, maybe 2 seconds. We'll make it 1 for now. And we want to put this in, invincibility time. Now, these things that I'm doing here, I want to do this in our begin invincibility function. So let's just do it here. Right, or did I do it after? I did it after. I like to keep my CPP and my header files consistent. So let's do void a Twitch game character. Wow, you're just not going to help me at all, are you, IntelliSense? I think I called it begin. There it is, invincibility timer. And that's going to do these things. And then Twitch game character again, end invincibility timer. It's not an easy word to say, or spell, rather. And what we need to do is this is what... So the way this works is this timer right here is called once... So this function, that's the set timer function, starts the timer handle. And then once it starts, it goes in real world seconds. You can override it and things like that. But we take the invincibility time, or the time that we pass into this parameter. Once that amount of time has passed, it then calls this function, and then it performs the logic. So after a second has passed, we are going to end the invincibility timer. And I like the flow of your code every time I look at it. Hey, thank you. Thank you for saying that. Seriously, I appreciate that. I love coding. I love it so much, and it's so fun. So I don't always do things the best possible way or even the cleanest possible way, but it's just so satisfying to do. It's one of those things, like you do it and you're like, man, it's like zen. Blackbird, thank you for the Blackbird, thank you for gifting the subs. Seriously, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Did I spell it wrong? I think I spelled my own function wrong. Hey. Those people will all very much appreciate the subs too. Thank you. So, did I spell it wrong? Was I spelling it wrong? I did spell it wrong. Okay. I knew I was going to. Invincibility. There we go. There we go. Right? And he said, and Rule Your League even said, praise the sun to you, Blackbird. That's a high compliment. I have to say. Okay, so what we need to do is set our character state back to our default character state. It's pretty simple logic. We just want to set it back to default. Now, what we need to do is not take damage if we're in the invincibility state. Whoops, that's obviously what I wanted. So if state is not equal to character state invincible, then we'll do the take damage logic. And this should work. I mean, that's a very dangerous word in coding. Should. But I think we're pretty much solid here. Except I think I spelled something wrong. I did. Well, I did because I used the incorrect. There we go. After fixing that, it should work. Okay, there we go. So we've succeeded. We heard the hot reload. Now, when I do this... Okay, never mind. It did not work. And I have... Sorry, I'm in the wrong project right now, so that's part of the issue. Okay, what did we do? So we set the timer, and we set it back to default. If we're not equal to invincible, guys. If we're not equal to invincible, then we want to take damage. That is correct, but guess what? We never called the function to set us to be invincible. So how do you think it's gonna work? And obviously I'm not mad or anything. It's fun to kind of talk like that, to talk to yourself like that, because you're like, oh man, it's so stupid, but you know, obviously it's just an easy mistake to make. So yes, we want to die, but if we don't die, then we want to make sure we set ourselves to be invincible. Begin invincibility timer. Now we gotta build again and try it out once we compile. Okay, we heard the hot reload. Now the only reason, hold on, I was having issues earlier, and this is actually true, this is not an excuse. I clearly had code done, and I did not, it was not working for me. Like I had compiled it, and it wasn't doing it. Dang it, I'm in the wrong project. So hold on, let me take a quick look. What am I doing wrong? If state is not equal to invincible, then we want to take damage. Oh, yeah. Okay, so health minus damage. Great, die, awesome. Health minus equals damage amount. Begin invincibility timer. Set the timer for, it should be 1 second. And set us to be invincible. It's almost like that's not going off. And we're not setting the state, but I'm calling it right here, so. Let's go ahead, I mean, let's look. I'm not gonna lie, I mean, this is gonna happen a lot. This happened, you know, you see the tutorial, there's a reason. There's a reason I decided to do like the tutorials in a way where I show the end result, because this happens all the time. And it's okay, like genuinely it's okay. It happens to everybody. So, no shame in that. But I do have to kind of actually figure this out. So what I'm going to do is add a log. Log is my favorite thing to do. Now the only thing is, we already have a log here, and we don't have to make our life any harder than it needs to be. So I'm just gonna make sure that it doesn't really matter what the log says. I'll go ahead and keep it in here just for reference. But once we find the issue, it shouldn't be a problem anymore. So let's do player is invincible. Invincible. There we go. Build it. Now we'll look and see if that's logic's going off. The logic's going off. Then we should skip all this, so I don't really know. What is going on there? I need to get my output log. It's probably going to be a stupid mistake. But no, it's actually, it's not doing that logic. Did I screw something up from above? Sorry, I keep going to the fighting game because I'm stealing log and stuff from it. Can you debug from UE4 into your... You can! You want to see how? I can show you how if you want. If we do that, you can use breakpoints. So the way you do it, and it might give you a little bit of issues the first time you do it, depending on what you have installed, but if you close your editor, you go into Visual Studio, make sure that your startup project is your game and not the engine. If you do, it won't let you. And then keep it on like development editor or debug game editor, Win64, you know, whatever your operating system is, and then you press play, local Windows debugger, excuse me, and then you can put a breakpoint in, and we can just step through the logic. Yeah, seriously, so the way I usually do it is, if I make a mistake, I go through it logically, I see if I can figure out anything simple, that way I don't waste time debugging. And then once I can't figure it out logically, I put a log in. If the log doesn't fire, like you saw, it just didn't go off then I almost wonder if it was doing the incorrect logic there. But anyway, and then breakpoints come last. Breakpoints are like the heavy hitters. They're the best way to debug. But yeah. So then the way you do it is, if your code gets hit, your breakpoint will automatically hit. So it's really convenient to debug that way. And that's a nice little tip. I do show some more advanced things you can do with this if you want. I do have a video on it. I could get it. Just a debugging tips video. But let's look at what's going on here. So it's default. So it's not equal to invincible. Great. Then we say health minus damage amount. Health damage amount is 1. We have a health of 3. That is not less than 0, so it should go to else. We lose our damage amount. We begin invincibility timer. So why was this not printing? Did it do it again? Where my logic was right, but it literally wasn't taking my code changes? Take my code changes, Unreal. Look, it is it's working. This happened to me earlier. This has never happened to me before. It happened twice in the stream. So I made changes, and then I compiled. I heard it hot reload, and then they're not there. I've seen it where it doesn't hot reload at all, and even compiling doesn't get it to pop up the message, and then, you know, it said it hot reloaded on me. You guys watched it, okay? I just want to make that very clear that I was like, it should be working. Yeah, it should be. Thank you very much, Unreal Engine. You are unreal because you're not telling the truth. Anyway. What version are you using? Because I've been using 4.26. I'm on 4.23. I'm on 4.23. I do have 4.26. The only reason I'm doing it on this is because I screwed up and I'm sharing my whole screen and I didn't want to mess with it. And to get into my other engine versions, I was going to have to show some information on the stream. So my temporary fix was to do this, but you can upgrade at any time. In fact, I'll upgrade right after the stream and have it ready at the latest for next one. What weird stuff have you run into, though? It's a good question. Because if you run into something weird, I might be able to help. I have worked on 4.26, and honestly, pretty much every version since about 4.2, I think. So I know there are some things that change. For example, if you're specifically referring to an attached to actor, the way I've done it in the old fighting game episodes, you can't do it anymore. I do update it, but there are things that change that can throw off your logic a bit. Anyway, so it does work. Unreal just hates us, and that's fine. Unreal is allowed to hate us. But you see, now we have an invincibility timer, so we can hit him as much as we can hit him more than 3 times. Well, see? There you go. We have our invincibility timer. So now that we have our invincibility timer, we can have knockback. I'm sorry, I'm in the fighting game tutorial again. That's probably very confusing. That's actually easy going. Thanks. No problem. It's pretty nice, right? Pretty simple. Nodes changing randomly, not accepting code, and frequent crashes after hot reloads. Oh, you're saying like because I've really never seen it be this bad. I mean, I've seen it not take code before, but it literally said it hot reloaded and I manually compiled and it still was giving me the issue. I have not seen that. That is very strange. Nodes changing randomly, I don't know what exactly you mean by that, but there are nodes that end up changing based on what you pass into them, and it's possible if you changed a type, it could have changed the function that it was given. Just a thought. But not accepting code, yes, we just saw that here, so I totally believe that. Frequent crashes after hot reloads. I don't normally see crashes after a hot reload, but do you mean like if you change an enum or something? Because their enum system is honestly very bad when you have to use it in blueprinting code. Starting to get scared. It should not do that, but I always upload my project to a, well, not upload, I put it on a USB, and then I upload it to my personal like Google Drive or something. So you might want to do that just to kind of make it a little bit more secure for yourself. But okay, so we have invincibility. Let's do knockback, and let's get it to where we do some sort of effect when we land on the head instead of destroy them. It doesn't have to be like, you know, an explosion or any sort of actual effect, but let's do something more than just destroy the actors, probably. That would probably be good. The only issue is I don't know if I have any animations, so maybe we'll like shrink them really small. We'll just shrink their scale like they're being crushed. That would be funny. Okay, let's do the launch character stuff. Let's knock them back. So I can do it right where the damage is. Now that I have an invincibility timer, it should be a better view or better like version. But we don't want to just do it one direction or another. Like we were putting in negative 200, which I was doing on purpose, but we don't really want to do that. So I think if we do like 800, we'll do it now so we can set it up, but we don't want to keep it that way. We keep this at like 100. Then we'll say false and false. Whoops, I did not put my comma. And now, every time we take damage except on the... Yes. So the problem is when you make changes, though, if you're attached, you do have to completely get out of it. Which is why I actually prefer working without the debugger attached, and that's why I like logs more. Well, to start with. Okay, so let's go into our Twitch game. Alright, and now that we are back in here, let's make sure that Unreal didn't decide to just delete us and hate. Oh, you decided to remember. Is that what you did? So, Z... Why is it launching me? Barely up. I feel like 100 should do more than that. Sorry, I keep clicking to it. Like, I'm pretty sure I only set it to about 200 usually to get it off the ground. And, like, get a reasonable distance, I'm saying. Oh, you know what? My gravity is less. That's exactly what it is. my gravity is a lot lower on the... There you go. So that's kind of the effect we're going for. Now, obviously, that'll only work from that direction. If we go the other direction, it'll actually launch us into the character. So what we need to do is determine what direction we collided with the character from. Since we're already doing a check for the hit here, we can actually do it. We can just literally get the actual location. And I might pass in the direction in take damage. It's a little weird, but I don't think it would... Like, I don't think it's impractical, and I don't... We should have a launch character function that's separate. For now, let's just pass it into the character, left or right. I think that could be good anyway, because we could know where to apply an effect if we're not having an effect off of, like, the actual collision point. So we'll do that. We'll have the direction that we took damage from, left or right. We don't need top or bottom or anything like that. But what we need to do is get our actor location. So this is the location of the character, okay? And we need to get the actor location of the enemy as well. Now, we only care about one direction in this case. We care about the Y value. So we can right-click on these and split the struct pin. And then we can just take this Y value and check if this is greater than this. Now, Unreal, I love Unreal. Let me not talk ill of Unreal, except your default level is the opposite direction of the way it should face. Why would I ever want my starter content level to have my X... First of all, okay, quick rant, and then we'll get back into it. First of all, your coordinate system is weird. Who does X as the depth, Y is the horizontal value, and Z is the height? Everyone I've ever seen has done X is the horizontal, Y is the height, Z is the depth. First of all. Second, why would I want it to start where going left is positive? What is this? What is wrong with you? Okay, now that I've said that, my whole point is saying that. So if the character's location is greater than, if the character's location is greater than the enemy, I couldn't think of what he was called, the enemy's location. Well, the Y is positive here. I mean, you can see how launching him at 800, sorry, I keep clicking into the wrong thing, is sending him to the left, because that's the direction he's going. We need to make sure that if it's positive, if the character is greater than the enemy's location, we send him in the right direction, and then vice versa. So let's do that. Let's say we don't... I guess we'll just do a branch and have a Boolean left or right. We don't need to come up with some elaborate thing for direction. We just need to know if they were hit from left or right. It's, again, no reason to make it more complex than it is. It's neat, you know, make that a little bit neater. And if it's true, we'll do this take damage. If it's false, we'll do another take damage. Something like that. And yeah, I know. He needs to take damage from this. Underneath. I always hate the way these end up looking, but something like that should be neat enough where we can all see it. Compile and save that. And there we go. Now we need to just add the direction to our take damage. I'll say hit on left. Okay, how about that? That's if the collision was to the left of the character. There's gotta be a better name for that, right? Hit left? I don't know. We'll just say hit on left, that's fine. So hit on left means if he was hit on the left side. So bool, hit on left. And I'm not going to make any sort of variable for that because we only need it in this function. And we'll say if hit on left then we actually don't want to launch him this way. We want to launch him the other way. We want to launch him the other way. We want to do... So if he was hit on the right, we want to launch him 800, but otherwise we want to launch him negative 800. That should be the correct values. Then we'll need to assign them when we get hit. There we go. And when we compile, it'll be like, nope, that's not correct, but we can refresh these nodes. And I'm just going to take a gamble because, quite frankly, I think it's fast. I'm trying to figure it out. So I did it the opposite way. As you can see, they both put me into the guy. So now, sorry, I always got to save. Now, when we get hit, oh, launch backward, and then we get hit. Oh, launch the other way. So there you go. Now we have knockback. We have directional knockback even. We have invincibility. We got a lot going on here. It's probably good. What I'm going to do is make the colliders on our feet and head invisible at this point. I don't think we need to see them. I'll keep them here, although we don't need them. But I will keep them here in case we want to re-enable them in the future for visibility things. Disable this one. Now they should be invisible, so now we don't have these little boxes following us around. And I can destroy him by jumping on him, but if I collide with him, I get knocked back. And see, that's what I was talking about though. So remember I said, like, we'll want more logic than just if they collide. If you hit them at the right angle, you can end up destroying him without really jumping on him, like you're jumping over him. So we really need to determine if we're falling at that time. Like that. But for now, for the purposes of this is okay. Now let's go ahead and do something instead of just destroying the actor. Let's actually shrink them. I don't entirely know how to look. I've never actually tried it, but we're gonna find out together. I think that's what life is all about. So instead of destroying them, we can just literally grab their mesh. I mean, we will destroy them in a second, but we can get their mesh. And this is the only reason to do this, by the way. Like, you should have an animation, but the only reason we're doing this is for a lack of animations. Well, we can set actor scale. Sorry, I have to see scale. How do we do it on this? Is it set world scale 3D? And we can, I mean, we can hard code this. We could actually do it over time. So Z is the height, so 0.1. He's going to become a little tiny. Oh. I did not like that I set his scale like that. I like how it doesn't actually change his collision because we didn't disable collision. Oh, because these are all zeros, sorry. Why would it default to 0? There we go. He says, I am smushed now. I am tiny. And we should really, like, shrink his capsule collider and other things like that, of course. Not just do it like that. But, what I am going to do, so you noticed another issue. So we were jumping on his head, so you're like, okay, we're doing the right thing. But this is still registering an on-component hit. And thus, after 3, we still die. And Mom said it's my turn on the Xbox. I love that. I love that. Right, look at him. He's so cute looking. What's up, little guy? Don't ever talk to me and my son again. Okay, yeah, so you see though, so yeah, we stepped on him, so why are we still taking damage? Well, we're only checking for collision hit, or on component hit, on the capsule component. Now, great, all right, but the problem with that is we, like, with us doing that, this is still firing when we land on his head. So we don't really want to do that. We can keep what we have here, but we either have to change what object we're colliding with, not just the capsule component, or we can actually determine if the character is going to land on their head and do that. For tonight's episode, for the purposes of this, I don't think that's necessary. Let's go the easy route. We can always upgrade later. It's good to learn multiple methods anyway, because you don't always need the top of the line method. Very frequently, you only need, this thing for one occasion, and it cannot be the best thing ever. You don't want to look at alt code that way, because if you do that, then you take shortcuts, and then you run into issues. But let's be honest, there's definitely times when you don't need this is the best performance I've done linear interpolation to perform this calculus function a millisecond faster. Now, first of all, none of that even made sense if you knew what I was talking about, so forgive me. I realized it didn't make sense. I was just saying big words. But my point is, you don't always need it to be the most advanced thing ever. So I think it's good to learn some other things. So first of all, let's just do it the easy way. Now, the easy way, in my opinion, is that when we... So there's two ways, actually. I'm trying to think. Both of them are pretty much as easy as the other. But when we collide with this one, okay, if we hit this one, now, even if it launches us back right away, which it doesn't, because this is an overlap ball. This is not a block ball. So we overlap, and then we continue through, and we hit their capsule component. So even if we were to hit that one first, it could still cause issues. Because we would still... Well, we are hitting it first. It is still causing issues. We're jumping through it, essentially. We're jumping, we're falling through it, and then we're colliding with the capsule component. So the two ways I see that we fix it are to simply... when we collide with this, if this is collided with, then we either disable collision with this enemy, or not disable collision with it, but essentially disable the taking damage part, because this is at a point where this is big enough. You should collide with this first if you're hitting them in the head. Otherwise, and I mean, it could be a little bit bigger if we're going to go this route, just so there's less room for error on the player's part, because we want the player to feel good, right? We don't want them to be like, oh, that felt like that cheated me. So in all reality, this should be a little bit bigger if we're going to do this route. Should be like that. But what we can do is, if we've collided with this, essentially stop the player from taking damage during a collision with this. Now, that could be a little finicky depending on how you set it up. I think the easiest way, and the way to avoid any sort of other issues with it, is to essentially just give them a small amount of time, like 0.2 seconds where it avoids that, or something like that, or to have it, literally the intention is to bounce off of them at that point. Now, with those are both, and admittedly they're kind of hacks though. The best way, and this was my other option that I mentioned at the start, in my opinion, is to have a separate collider that's not the capsule component that you can toggle on and off. So if we have a collision with this guy, we can still bounce off the character off their capsule component, but we toggle off their box collider, that is their damage component, and then at that point, we hit this gets toggled off, we fall through, or we bounce because of the capsule component, we don't ever take damage, then it gets re-enabled right after. It could be the next time the player gets on the ground if you want to give them leeway, but that's not really necessary. It should just be a timer. So if they were to bounce off your head and then land on you again, then they should take damage. So it can even be just while we're overlapping with it. You got a lot of options. So I think what we do is we do that method, and we add a collider that is actually, that's what we check for collision for, not the capsule component. So let's do it. Let's add another box collision, excuse me. And this is going to be I'm just going to call this the body collider. I don't think we're going to have other colliders really than the one we can jump on them from and the one they can damage us from. So I think this is perfectly fine. That's probably about good location-wise. We just scale it up a bit. And you can see that, look, this takes up what the capsule component does. Now, we don't want to get rid of the capsule component. In fact, you can't with a character. But, I mean, you don't want to switch it out anyway. You want the capsule component. We just want other things to to handle some of this. That way we have more functionality that we can define. So the other thing with this, now that we have this other collider, we want to do on-component hit on that collider as opposed to the capsule component. So I'm going to delete the capsule component, put in this, and other actor into the object. Now, let's, actually I don't know what the collision is set to on this. Overlap all dynamic. So yeah, it should not be a block all because the capsule will block. So we'll put this to overlap all just like I did with the other one, just for proof of concept here. And now you can see as I, oh, you know what? It's gonna block me from actually hitting that because of where it was at. We don't want to do that. Actually, wait a second. Did it really block me because of that? Weird. Sorry, that's really funny to me. Okay, so, I mean, we'll make it smaller then. We'll make it the size of the capsule collider. Oh, that makes sense, because we're not calling take damage. Because we were getting stuck on that. So if we weren't calling take damage, then we weren't going to be... getting sent back. Because it's on-component hit, not on-component overlap. Duh. Okay. So let's switch that up. That's what the issue was. Now, and it might be better to do on-component hit and make this block all. So we'll figure that out if we want to switch over the logic from the capsule component, but this should be fun. There's smushing him. Yeah, so it actually does not like that in general, though. I doubt this is ever firing if I print string. Yeah. So if he were, I think this is the case I'm referring to, where he would actually, it would actually fire if he walked into me, but not the other way around. So I think what we need to do is reverse what we did here and grab that component. So that's what we will do. I do want to look at one thing first. So I need to take a drink. Let me see. We might be able to also make this a little bit nicer and not do that by actually... oh, you know... Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. Got ya. Got ya. Okay. Okay. So... they're hitting because the component, the capsule component, is hitting the collider before we're able to reach the enemies. Is what I'm thinking. So let's do this. Let's try this first. Then if this doesn't work, we'll just switch it, like I said. But I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. So the height is good. Let's make it inside. The Y doesn't really matter here, but just for safety reasons, we'll keep it like that. That way we can hit the collider first. Although we won't take damage because of that. What we need to do is this. Static mesh. Oh, that was the wrong thing. Okay. So I think what we should do, and again, this could be wrong. I make mistakes all the time, so no worries. But I think what we do is we make it to where... let me see which one I think would be better. It might be better if we do... yeah, it might be better if we do overlap from this guy onto that. Or it wouldn't be overlap, it would be hit onto that. I think that's what we do. So let's try it. So we have on component hit from our capsule component. We could also do it from the mesh if the mesh had collision. I think what we do is this logic. We won't have to cast. We will have to cast the enemy. I think this will be neater, as long as this works. We'll see. If it doesn't work, we switch it back and we do the first method. But I think this would be better if we can get this to work. So, we get the other actor for this. And that's fine the way that is. Oh wait, not for both of these though. And what we need to do is make sure, we'll clean that up in a second. We need to get the... Sorry, I just screwed it up though, because like I was going one way, then I went the other way. So what we need to do is make this back to the size it was. That was weird that it was scaled like that. We need to increase this. This can actually just go back to 1. And that's probably fine how it is. And now we'll hit this first before the collider, but it can be an overlap all like it is. Yeah, okay, sorry, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think how the collision presets work. Because there's a way to make it block, but where it doesn't, there's a way to register hits, but where it doesn't block, and I can't remember if I can use overlap all or not. We're going to try it with overlap all. If it doesn't work, then we know that we have to change the collision settings. Let's just do it, and then we can actually see. That would be good. So take the hit component, and we're going to do the same thing we did here, actually. We're going to take the hit component, we're going to cast it to a box component. And we are going to get the owner. And we're going to cast it to base enemy BP, the same thing we're doing here. And I'll show you, obviously, I mentioned this earlier, but without tagging the hitboxes, if we're using the same thing, like 2 box components, then this logic will work for both, which can actually screw us up if we're not careful. But we can just simply tag them as well, which is very efficient in terms of Unreal. And it's a simple way to differentiate between the two without actually changing any of the logic that we put in there. So anyway, now that we have the base enemy, and we have this component, and the reason I'm checking for this component is, remember, this is the component that we want to take damage from. We don't want to take damage from the collider. So if we check the box component, get the owner, and set it to base enemy BP, then we know we've collided with that component, and then not the capsule collider. And thus, we can grab them to get their location. And I forget which way is which, so this might launch us the wrong way. But once we do this, cast the base MVP. If the cast succeeds, then... So I think this will work. It depends on if the overlap settings are what I remembered. They do not appear to be, because I'm assuming the hit is never hit. So I may need to actually look that up in a second, just so I can see which one is which, so I know what to set it to. So it's hitting. But then I'm assuming this is failing because it's not hitting against the... Let me get the name of it. I think it's just going to be the collider that's hitting, which is why I need that other collision setting. Print this out. It is the collider, which is what I thought. So that's not what we need. We need this to be blocked, essentially. There is one. Sorry, I'm just trying to think. Is it invisible wall? That would be the opposite of what we want. There is one that does what I want, and I apologize because I'm blanking on it right now. But if we make it block all, it'll work. It's just that it will invalidate the capsule collider, essentially. And I'm just honestly trying to avoid that. Well, it won't invalidate it because we're going to set it to invisible anyway. Okay, you know what? That's fine. We'll do it like that. Let me make sure that this works and that it's putting out the right name. It's colliding with the collision cylinder still, even though you're block all. That is certainly weird. Body collider. Is it complaining about this? Because it's colliding, the side scroller is colliding with my character? That wouldn't make sense. Hit component. Get object. What is called a collision cylinder here? I think that's the capsule collider. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. That's only when I press into it. Does my capsule component not want to pick up on that? It is in the right. Oh, no, but it should still hit first, right? What if I just make it larger? Could be a size thing. Oh, that's actually the wrong way. Let's see it. Let's see if that fixes it, because... Well, it does, like, you can tell that it's changing it. That's, so maybe that is what it's called. Collision cylinder? No, it's not making it bigger, is it? Is it? There's no way I was heading from that far away. Oh yeah, it's really calling that a collision cylinder. Okay, my bad. I never printed out that name before, so I'm thinking... Cylinder. 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 Is a box a cylinder? That's weird. Very weird that that's the way that worked. Okay, whatever. Am I printing out the... Am I doing something wrong? Hit component. Is it doing the same garbage it was at the start, where I need to use other? No, it's just literally called a something. Okay, I don't know. Sorry. I don't know why it's calling it that. But, okay, so we know we have the right thing. Well, I'm assuming we do at this point. Let's make sure we print a string and that the cast succeeds before we go any farther. It does not succeed. That is very strange. All right. I may go ahead and use the other method, which I know would work. But I think this method would be better. Like, I want to use this method. So, the box component doesn't succeed. But that's what this is. Which makes me think that it's like... It thinks it's colliding with this capsule component almost. I mean, I am checking my capsule component against it. It's possible my capsule component is blocking that out. You see what I'm saying? Like, if we both had a different one, it might only collide with that one. It is colliding with whatever's getting bigger, though, so that's not really true. Unless it's because I'm not simulating hit events. Shouldn't matter, because it was going off, so... I think it just literally does not work that way. Huh. Okay, never mind. We'll use the other method. I'm sorry I tried to do something that I thought was going to be better. I clearly deserve this. Let me turn off the simulate hit events. Save a little bit there. And I will go ahead and just put this back where it was. And we'll do it the old-fashioned way. So, first of all, I need to put it back on, well, we can do the body collider. Okay. I think I was using the, whoops, other actor. I do need to actually cast this though, because I got rid of it thinking I wouldn't need it anymore. So we need, what is this? Twitch game character. We're gonna do this. I'll make this a little bit neater. Oh, I don't need to do that. What am I doing? I'm gonna do this. Okay, anyway, sorry about that, guys. So, oh yeah. Come on. Hey, thanks for the raid, David. Appreciate you coming by, buddy. Sorry, my throat is a little dry at this point. Thank you very much, my friend. I'm happy to have you here. So, okay. Now that we've reset this, let me see if it works. Yeah, it just doesn't like the hit on that box. I don't know what it is about this box, but I can't get it to pick up the hit. Oh, well, I did. Did I do overlap? No, I did on hit, though. I don't know. We're going to use the other method because I just can't get the box. I don't know exactly what I'm doing wrong in this case, but I cannot get the box to work. So let's just reset this the way we had it. Oh, that's not what I want to do, though. I want to do reset it to where we had it working. And we'll just change this once we verify that I have it back in the working state. There we go. So we're working again. Okay. Only one, but better than nothing. Hey, man. It is actually better than nothing. I mean, you coming by the stream is better than nothing, my friend. I love having you. So anyway, we were running into an issue. I couldn't get this box to function the way I want to. I don't know why. I've never had issues with box collision before, but I couldn't get it to fire. So we're just going to go ahead and use the other method. Let me catch you up with everything we've done. So right now we're making kind of like a Super Smash Brothers game. And, sorry, Super Mario Brothers game. Like, so if I jump on the character, then right now we're shrinking him down. So he's a cute little mannequin guy. But that's if we hit him in the head. Otherwise, if we don't hit him in the head, he doesn't shrink down. So he just knocks us back. We get a little bit of invincibility. But then if we run into him again, we take damage. And then once we hit him 3 times with no invincibility, we end up dying. And the way Unreal destroys things, it doesn't know where to put the camera, really. So that's why you see the view that you do. But he died. If you see that, you know that he is deceased at that point. So anyway, long story short, that's where we're at. What we're going to be doing now is we're going to fix the collision. That way it, because right now if you were to jump on him, since I'm not destroying him anymore, I'm actually losing health at the moment because of the way we are checking for collision. You can see it's also launching me. So there you go. And we're trying to fix that. I had a way that I thought was good, but it ended up not panning out. So at least I would have to look into it more. Okay, is this a continuation of your YouTube series? This is something new, specifically for the Twitch series. But you know, maybe we'll switch back and forth or something. I think we'll keep working on this because I'm having a lot of fun with this. It's something I've never made before, so I'm finding out new issues that I maybe didn't know about and things like that. But yeah, I think we'll probably stick with this for a bit. I'm really enjoying it. Alright, so anyway, let's get back into this, and let's go into my other method, I guess, since I could not get that one to work right off the bat. The other method that we could do is essentially check if the other component was hit. Like we do this collider, right? And we determine if this collides. Now, if we are to print these, let me show you what I'm talking about here. I print this string, and I print this string. And I say, the first one is hello, and this one is take damage. Take damage. When I jump on them, you'll see it prints hello, take damage, hello. Hello, take damage, hello. Okay? So, we don't want it to be printing take damage, essentially, when we're jumping on their head. So, what we can do instead, hello is always going to print first as long as we collide first, because our collider is at the bottom of our feet, and it's actually below the, if I show you, it's actually below the capsule collider. So if we're jumping on their head, we're safe to assume that as long as our part that can hit them is where their head is, that we're safe to assume that that's going to collide before we should take damage. So what we can do is actually just, again, put them in some sort of invincibility state or disable collision on the enemy for like 0.2 seconds just so that they can actually not take damage from that. Bounce out of the way. We can knock them down. If the enemy themselves goes into some other state, like the Koopa goes into their shell, then we change the logic that we're doing on them anyway. So we have a lot of freedom here. And to avoid making it a hack, what I want to do is actually just kind of put them into invincibility state. Since we're probably going to wrap up the stream pretty soon here. Let me see. Okay. Sorry, just going through my notifications. We're probably going to be wrapping up the stream here pretty soon. So we'll see. But for the sake of simplicity, right now. I'm probably just going to make it a little bit invincible, and then we can come up with a better solution for next episode. But that way we can actually show what's going on, and we can show what we're trying to achieve, and at least make it work. So to do that, when this hits and we set his scale to 3D, what we can do is force the collision to kind of be stopped for a second. And the easiest way is to just set our character state to be invincible for about 0.2 seconds. And what I can do there as well is so I thought of a better way I could do the invincibility, just a cleaner way. Not necessarily like, it doesn't really change anything, but it would make it a little bit neater than what I'm going to do here. But again, since we're at the end of the stream here, toward the end of the stream, I'm going to do it this way, and we'll make it better. Just letting you know that I recognize that. Set invincibility time. I did not make it a U property. So what I want to do is make this a U property, which means we can access it in Blueprint. I want Blueprint, read, write. Edit anywhere. Actually, I usually do it opposite. I don't have to, but I just kind of have done it that way for so long. I want to keep the order. So edit anywhere, Blueprint, read, write basically just means we can see it in Blueprint, edit it, and edit it within the graph or the default section. And then we have our invincibility time. So I will compile. And actually, you know how I said earlier in the stream I wasn't going to make this a U function? We're going to do that now, because we are going to actually make him invincible for a set amount of time. Not very long. Long enough that he can bounce without taking collision. And it will be admittedly a bit of a hack, so that's why we have to come up with a better solution. But it should work for the majority of cases without issues. And what we do is, after we set the scale, then we are going to go ahead and set our invincibility timer. Or excuse me, our invincibility time. And I'll set it to something short, like 0.2. And then we're going to call invincibility, begin invincibility timer. I'm going to have the stream up, but I'm going to get a shower. I'll be back. If you're good, we're going to wrap up pretty soon here. But so you should be able to see I took damage. Now I hit him, and I hit him again, so like there, I'll get punished for that. But you can see I've taken more hits, because this isn't really damaging me. I'm hitting him, but I'm hitting him where my collider is. So let me show you what's going on. Where we call take damage, let's add a print string. Okay. So, take damage. If I hit the enemy, it says hello. That means we took damage. Now if I land on him, trying to get a good test case because it kept doing what I didn't want it to do. I was trying to show you, and I kept hitting it the same way. So if I jump on his head, to see how I'm invincible though. So we're calling take damage all these times, but I'm not dead. And there I was, because I did not actually hit him with my feet. So again, that's mainly user error. Like, sure, it's not the neatest way to do it, but you can see like I'm clearly hitting him with my feet here. However, I hit him at the side like this. Like if I hit him without my feet over top of him, like that, like I took damage there. And there I took damage. So you can see how it does make you invincible. And of course, his capsule component is also going to change size. Like we're not going to just leave it like that. So you're not going to hit him in the air. But yeah, there's a lot we can do with this. I just kind of wanted to open it up to a possibility. I didn't know really where we'd get tonight. I just wanted to start making something. And there we go. We got pretty far. I mean, we have an enemy that can react to getting hit on the head. We have the ability to be knocked back if we take damage. Essentially get invincibility frames or invincibility seconds. And yeah, I feel like this is pretty good. So I'm going to wrap the stream up here, just because it's getting to the point where we are past the normal time, and usually I take some time on Friday and just, relax for a bit since the week is over. So I think I'm going to wrap up the stream here, but I do have some important points before everybody goes. Take a drink. So, first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming by and checking this out. This was a lot of fun for me. I hope it was a lot of fun for you. I put it as just chatting because really I figured I'd just talk to you guys as I do it, and we kind of just work on something. If you have ideas or things you want to implement, then let me know. I'll be happy to work on it. But this doesn't change anything that's happening in the tutorial series. And we're still going to be doing Dark Souls every Wednesday. And I know this isn't exactly what I normally do on Twitch, but this is what I do on YouTube, so I wanted to open it up. Now, I will probably be doing YouTube stream next Friday instead of on here on Twitch. If you want to check that out, I'd appreciate you coming by, but no worries either way. It'll just be at youtube.com/Shawnthebro, and I'll be continuing this, but on YouTube and testing out a YouTube stream. So anyway, guys, that's all I got for you, but thanks again for coming by. Thank you for the follows and the subs. Blackbird, appreciate you gifting the subs as well. That was really kind. Thank you so much. I'm going to take off. I'm going to go relax for a bit, but everyone, thank you so much for coming by. I'm Shawnthebro, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys.